Everything Stevie did was incredibly percussive and rhythmic, right? One of the real keys to his playing was his attack. Stevie had this amazing attack, and he actually used a medium gauge Fender celluloid pick, which is a really important part of the sound because, for example, the difference between a nylon pick, like this is a real thick nylon, it's kind of a heavy nylon pick, and this is a celluloid pick. And the difference between those two picks is really, really a world of difference. Like the celluloid pick's going to give you a lot more pick sound, and it's going to give you a lot more of a percussive sound. It gives you a lot more of a percussive and kind of plucky sound. Whereas when you use a heavy nylon pick, you hear much more of the sound of the string. So something about Stevie was he used these medium gauge picks, right? But he used it in kind of an unconventional way. Instead of playing with the point of it, he played with the rounded edge of the pick, and it changes the sound a lot. And it makes a lot of sense with the way that he plays. Because when you use the pick like this, you're going to interact with the strings in a different kind of way. And everything Stevie did was incredibly percussive and rhythmic, right? Okay, let's take a listen to a little bit of Stevie here. Check this out. This is amazing.
You know?
So you can really see how he's using the pick there. He's really kind of slapping the strings with that pick, right? Let me change guitars real quick. To get the authentic Stevie sound, you don't need to do this, but it really helps to tune down a half step. So you can hear he's really kind of digging in, right? So one of the things is when he plays, he's almost playing using kind of like rest strokes. So like on a classical guitar or on a bass guitar as well, when you strike a string, you pluck it, and then the finger has this real strong connection with the string because you kind of pluck down and you hit the adjacent string below. So it creates this really strong, very toneful sound. And Stevie's kind of doing the opposite of that, where he's playing with a downstroke and the pick is landing on the next string. So it creates this amazing sound. So let me show you a couple of little exercises how you can kind of play around with this. So like part of the thing with Stevie's is he's got this strong percussive attack, but the way he treats the notes is that he's got this underlying kind of rhythm, this driving rhythm going through everything he's playing. So often you'll see him kind of doing this. But if you start with that, get this kind of rhythm going, real heavy rhythm. And he often kind of played slightly behind the beats.
That, yeah.
And then keep that hand motion going, keep that underlying rhythm going, but then start to intersperse kind of some lead licks in there.
I'm still partial to that kind of stuff.
If you start with some simple ones like this. And then if you look at that lick he was just playing there, there's melodies within melodies, right? And Stevie Ray plays with a very ornamented style. But underneath that, it's kind of like this. It's that kind of call and response sound. Like that, right? And then that lick, he's basically kind of walking down the scale like this. So the bass lick might be something like that, right? But he's adding this kind of ornamentation where he's doing these kind of fast little trills. So if you go, that kind of thing. So basically what he's doing there is he's starting with that kind of percussive attack, that rest stroke on that third fret there, and then going to the second fret of the third string, and then you do this little kind of trill slide. So you slide up and back down, and then you flat your finger. So that's a great little lick to practice. And then you can kind of extend that. Try different keys. So try playing along with that basic boogie woogie and then putting in these little melodies, keeping that rhythm going. So when you're kind of looking at any guitar player, it's really important because every note they play is telling a story, right? So you need to kind of look behind that and what's going on. And it's important to look at their influences. For example, Stevie was really influenced by the Kings, the Three Kings, B.B. King, but also people like Jimi Hendrix as well. Jimmy was a huge influence on him. But both of those players played with this kind of percussive attack. I mean, B.B. King was much more subtle. But he played so dynamically and so expressively. And Stevie really mirrored that energy. But Hendrix also played really percussively, and he had a weird way of playing with his pick, which is very unique. He had his own way of doing it, and he would kind of tuck the pick into his fingers, so he'd have this kind of look. Check out this little picture here I've got. See, he's playing back here, and he's like kind of arching his fingers around. The pick's between his first finger and his thumb. The pad's on his fingers. He would play really percussively with this kind of R&B style rhythm, but he would have the pick kind of tucked in, and that creates this kind of muted, harmonic-y kind of cool sound. It increases the complexity of the sound. So if you take something like Little Wing, he's kind of tucking the pick in like this. But if you look how Stevie played that same song, he'd keep that swing going. You know, so like that little lick right there. Here, I've got the tab for you here. That kind of idea, right? He's using the side of his pick to get that kind of snappy sound. And what's amazing about that lick is it just sounds so cool, but that's within an A minor chord. That's a great one. You can really move that around. In fact, that lick works all over the place. Like you can use it over a G chord, or over an A minor, or an E minor, or a C, or a D. You know, so it's the rhythm there. It's that. So you keep that swing going, and you're kind of raking the upstrokes a little bit as well to get that. And when you do that kind of rest stroke, that little snap, it really makes those notes kind of jump out and gives you that amazing tone. So both Jimmy and Stevie had this way of playing rhythm and lead at the same time, and that's one of the things you can do with your playing is like lock into that rhythm and have that underlying rhythm going throughout your playing.